if Deku had a yandere part 7. As before we get into this video, I'm going to try and squeeze as many arcs into this one episode as I can, because I want to try and speed up yandere to the point. I want to just finish this series off so I can start one more. Then I'll focus on that until the next what if I do. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. We are going to start this video off with the start of the cavalry battle. Izuku and everyone else got their original scores just like canon, but Bakugo would be a little bit more pissed at Izuku for the reason why he got number 1. In this timeline, instead of Hatsume coming over, it will be his yandere, Anna, coming running over to him. As she tugged on Izuku's arm, saying, "Can I be part of your team, Izzy?" she said in a very confident and seductive tone. "Yes, sure," as they went over to get Dark Shadow and Uraraka, just like the original counterpart of Timeline. And just like the original, they would have gotten 4th place, as the next event would have happened, saying the one-on-one battles, with Shinso and Izuku being on the first round. Izuku would have been told by Ojiro about his power. Izuku would have been more careful in this timeline, as the moment the bell rang to signal them to go, Izuku charged up as much as he could and charged straight at him, punching him straight out the ring. As every single fight just went like the original, but when Anna faced off against Ibara, Anna just went full heart eyes because she knew she was going to face her lover up next if she tried her hardest. Anna tried and tried to end this as quick as possible as she charged at her, knocking her unconscious quite literally instantly, because she had her drive to face her lover to prove she was superior. As those rounds after that went like canon as usual, the only two differences Mei faced on someone else. As round 2 came around, Izuku and Todoroki faced off. In this timeline, Izuku would care to try and get Todoroki to use his fire side a little bit more, so Izuku would have gone at least 5% for speed and 2% for strength, punching him in the stomach, knocking the wind out of him but still making him stand up. As Izuku said, "Come on Todoroki, use your flame side, it isn't his, it's yours," Izuku shouted at Todoroki. "I'm not using that bastard's power," Todoroki shouted at Midoriya, trying to get him to shut up. But Midoriya didn't listen about that. "That's not what I want to hear, Todoroki. Either you use your fire side, or I'm going to keep on doing this over and over again." And just like the original, Todoroki would have had flashbacks about his childhood, as his flames just interrupted his body and started to inflame, half of the arena being burn and half of them being not, for how powerful his flames are. "Wanted this, Midoriya," as everything would have carried out like the original counterpart, as Izuku broke his right arm trying to block the attack from Shoho, sending a giant amounts of wind pressure out of the stadium, knocking Shoto clean out. "That's my Izuku, I knew you were strong," as Anna started to rub her spot, as Izuku went out of the arena to Recovery Guild's office so he can get his arm healed, as the rest of the rounds went as original, with Anna winning against Tenya Ida. I think that's how it went like the original, at least, as Izuku and Anna was up next, fighting for the next spot. 3, 2, 1, begin! As Anna and Izuku both charged at each other, Izuku threw a haymaker ahead, but at this point this was a distraction as Izuku swept his legs under Anna's, knocking her off balance a little bit, but she regained her posture as she did a flip over Izuku, punching him in the back, sending him flying to the corner of the ring, as Anna just whispered under her breath, "I'm going to make you mine forever, Izzy," as Izuku had a chill down his spine as he jumped into the air with 5% one for all, sending a 10% wind pressure smash straight towards her, trying to distract her, with this sending him in little bits of strain, but he still went through with it, as Izuku charged right at her in the air, throwing a St. Louis smash at her, sending her far back, as Izuku regained his balance as he charged at her once more, sending a final blow to the back of her head, knocking her out of the ring. Next up was Bakugo and Tokoyami, That went just like the original, with Bakugo winning. As the final battle came to fruition, as Izuku and Bakugo face off, as Izuku was in the ring, as Bakugo was strolling up the ring, dragging his legs up like a chav, as Bakugo and Izuku both got into their fighting stances, as Midnight and the other contestants were scared for Bakugo, thinking what might happen to him, because in this timeline Izuku's really skilled. As Midnight said go, Izuku didn't waste any time and charged up 6% one for all and blitzed out of Bakugo's sort of vision, as Izuku threw a haymaker at Bakugo's head, knocking him unconscious for 5 seconds, as Bakugo got back up and said, "You bastard, I'm going to kill you!" Bakugo shouted at Izuku, throwing a large explosion at him, trying to get him off balance, as Izuku and Bakugo went at this for another 2 minutes, as Prison Mike said, 2 minutes remaining in the match. Prison Mike shouted, "I'm going to kill you, Bakugo, or Deku," Bakugo said, as Izuku got ready into his final stance, as Izuku was going to regret this, but he knew he had to do this, as Izuku tried a new technique he tried. If anyone's actually seen the cat animation, I would link that in the description as well, as Izuku charged up 20% one for all into his strongest leg, as smashing into the ground, breaking it, making it hover slowly into the air, as Izuku used this to his advantage and did what Gran Torino normally does and bounces between the rocks to try and make a giant force going back and forth in between, hitting Bakugo multiple times, knocking him clean unconscious, making Izuku the winner of the sports festival, as Izuku would have been on the first podium and Bakugo would have been tied up just like the original, as Izuku would have been awarded his medal by All Might himself, All Might telling him to meet him in his office after the World Mirror ceremony, as Izuku did so, as he meet All Might in his office. Through that day, Izuku would have been confused with the conversation that All Might told him about One For All, and he might unlock the rest of the quirks from One For All. Izuku would have had this conversation earlier in the series than the original, like 5-6 months before the main canon storyline, when Izuku got home, or to his dorm room as you would like to say, as the next day came around when Izuku fell asleep, as Izuku went to his class that day, as Aizawa told him to pick an internship that he got. As they all look at the boards, the only difference here, Izuku and Anna would have got the most votes, with Izuku having 6k, Anna having 4k, Bakugo 3k, Todoroki 3.2k, as the rest was like canon. Izuku would have saw something that would have caught his eye, Night Eye's agency, as Izuku would have picked that up. As the next couple of days, Izuku would have gone to his internship with Night Eye, as everything from season 4 would have occurred, with Izuku and Lemillion bumping into Eri, with Izuku picking her up and saying, "It's okay, what's wrong?" Izuku said, as Lemillion would have stared over looking at Chisaki, as Eri just squeezed tighter onto Izuku's shirt, or hero costume in this matter, as Eri would have said, "Don't let him take me," Eri said, as Izuku just holded her tighter. "Excuse me, but I'm really sorry about my daughter. Could I please have her back?" Chisaki said, as Overhaul let out some killing intent towards Izuku and Mirio, with Mirio stating that Izuku needs to pull his mask up, which he did in the original, saying, "Oops, looks like your silly mask fell down again," Mirio said, as Izuku felt little Eri loosen her grip on him, as Eri started to run over to Overhaul, as Izuku and Mirio just watched this happen, as Izuku and Mirio both reported to Night Eye in this original, instead of just sitting there doing nothing, as they would have got there and still been frustrated on it, but they still need to save Eri. That's what they thought mentally. During this encounter, Anna would have been in her internship still thinking about Izuku in this timeline, as then she heard a phone ring, as this hero picked up the phone to tell him to meet up at Night Eye's agency. They have something to discuss. As Anna got excited, thinks she's going to see Izuku again. As then she got a little bit of kill intent when she arrived there, seeing Izuku surrounded by two female friends of his, Ochako and Nejire. Since Ochako is in the same agency as Nejire is, it seems more liable to do this, as Anna just started walking over to hug Izuku's arms and kisses him straight onto the lips, saying, "Izui, what is this?" Anna said, letting out some killing intent towards them, as Izuku just went red and entirely blushed all over the place, as Izuku couldn't get any words out, as the raid on the Chihiya Saikai began that day, as they would have got the search warrant and they would have raided it the same day as well, as everything went like the original counterparts, as Izuku would have bashed into the rooms of Overhaul and Mirio's fighting, just seeing Mirio getting impaled in his leg and a bit of his stomach as well, trying to protect Eri. Just like the same as the original, Mirio would have lost his quirk to Overhaul's erasing bullets. Just like the original, Izuku came flying in, dealing a St. Louis 10% smash to Overhaul's head, knocking him back. As Izuku would have dodged everything just like the original counterparts of the series. Izuku came flying down from the top of the roof, dealing a 15% St. Louis Manchester smash to his head, almost knocking him unconscious, but thanks to the fusion that Overhaul made with one of his lackeys, he could survive it. Everything from there would have gone like the original counterparts of the series. Izuku would have been launched in the air using a 100% leg smash that he would have done in the original, blowing mostly everything back, getting launched in the air with Eri on his back, as Izuku would have landed on the floor, as Izuku would have wrapped Eri around her, saying her quirk was a blessing, this one making Eri really cry, as Izuku charged at Overhaul with 100% strength, punching him in the right stomach, launching him far in the air, as the fight would have carried on just like the original counterpart, as Izuku would have launched him into the ground, making a tiny crater, but still big enough for him to be knocked clean out, as Izuku would have been rushed to the hospital, being put under many scanners and realized he was fine, as Izuku would have been taken into another hospital room to see Mirio getting treated with his injuries. I do apologize for moving fast with the series. I just want this series to end so that I can have some more stuff to do instead of just focusing on one series all the time. I do apologize. As Izuku would have left his hospital room to see his mother downstairs with Anna talking, as Inko would have rushed to Izuku. "My little Izuku's all grown up," she would have said in a very excited tone, as Anna would have came to hug his other arm, stating that she is his boyfriend. Oh god, no, 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 Izuku thought internally. Izuku had no choice but to accept it, as Izuku would have just melted into the hug and hugged his mother and Anna. Anna getting really excited with this, trying to grab for Izuku's you know what I mean. Would have got his hand blocked by Izuku. As for Kamino Ward and Bakugo getting kidnapped, that would have all gone the same as like the original Kana. As the same with All Might fighting All for One. All Might still losing One for All, but Izuku would have had more experience using it. In this timeline, he has 10% control instead of just 8%. And this is where we're going to end the series here. I know this was really rushed. I do apologize for that. If you guys want me to start a new series, try and leave it down in the description down below, or the comment section, sorry, for what you guys would want to see in the next series. Without further ado, I'll see you guys and thank you all for tuning into the series. Goodbye.